Hi again, Mark here from Talking Bass. This week we're going to look at something that I was inspired to discuss by something that I saw on the Great Cover Solutions YouTube channel. Sebastian recently covered Running Up That Hill by Kate Bush, obviously inspired by the recent surge in interest created by Stranger Things. The bass line isn't exactly a conventional bass guitar riff, it's more of a percussive synth line, but for most of the song it's a simple one-note figure on C that sounds like this. Now, because the cover is pretty much that one note played round and round, the comment section erupted with sarcastic statements about how it's a pointless video. So today I'm going to address those comments with a little look at how a single note or short phrase is often the best choice for creating a bass line and why it can ironically create a lot more interest than more notes. As always, the lesson material is all there over at Talking Bass. Just click the link in the card or in the info below and you'll be able to play along to the backing tracks with the supplied tab. Then, while you're there, remember to check out over 500 extra free bass lessons in the lesson map and sign up to the free membership to gain access to a ton of free practice resources, ebook downloads, a complete social network, and much, much more. Like I said, it's all free and there's a great community of over 120,000 other bass players if you want to ask any questions. So, go check it out. Okay, so let's have a quick look at Running Up That Hill. Now, it won't take long because it's one note. We take a C, so I'm playing it here at the 3rd fret of the A string, and we play that repeating gallop rhythm of 8th to 16th notes. This works best with a pick for that more percussive sound, but here I'm just going to play it with fingers, so we've got 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a round and round and round. So from a simple bass perspective, this could be seen as a very simple and boring line. But I would argue that this bass line is a great lesson in how to construct an interesting line from one note. Why is that? Well, it's because of everything else that's happening in the tune. The chord progression played over that pedal bass line is A flat major 7, B flat major, C minor, and then E flat. So we're pretty much at the key of C minor, and the chord progression is a popular lead up to the tonic of flat 6, flat 7 to 1. Then we have the E major, chord 3 in the key, which acts as a turnaround. Now, it would be easy to double that progression with root notes, which would sound like this. But when you play that single pedaling C note, those chords take on a totally different feel. Now, I've recorded it on the looper here, so if I play the bass line there, and then we just play those chords over the top, can you hear that C underneath? So, what's happened there? Well, the A flat major 7 has become a first inversion chord, so the 3rd is in the bass, so A flat major 7, we've got the C there, that's now in the bass, so A flat major 7 over C. The B flat major has become a B flat add 9 or B flat 2 chord. The C minor is still in root position, we've got the C underneath, and then the E flat major has become pretty much a C minor 7 there. So, what's happened there is that we've actually added colour to all of the chords and tension without actually doing anything. We're just staying on that C. But because the chords move over the top and they're just pretty standard chords, we're adding colour to the chords through that single note. So this is the beauty of a one-note pedal tone, and what some people tend to forget is that the technical difficulty of the line, the technical facility of the player, and even the melodic interest of a bass line, the actual melodic notes in there in the bass line, they are totally irrelevant to the actual arrangement of the song. Yes, it's great to hear a catchy bass riff, it's great to hear an intricate melodic line weaving through the chords, but that's all secondary to the arrangement and requirement of the song itself. Some songs require no bass at all. Adding bass to some songs would just not work. Creating a 3-note bass line might not work. A 2-note line might not work. Sometimes one note works just right. So here's another perfect example of a one-note line. Everyday People by Sly and the Family Stone. The bass line is played by Larry Graham, a guy renowned for his instrumental prowess, but for everyday people, we just have the following. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Just offbeat G notes. We're in the key of G. We're just playing that G there at the 3rd fret of the E string, and we're just playing on the ands of each beat. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Over the top of that line we have 2 chords, G major up to A minor and back. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and it's that all the way through. So there's not much going on there at all. But the song is an absolute classic. What could you possibly do to that bass line to improve that recording? An impatient bass player might, start messing around with it and adding fills here and there. But let's face it, Larry's original bass line is absolutely perfect. Here's another great example of a one-note bass line, Running with the Devil by Van Halen. It's one note, a low E flat, even though I'm playing an E here because it's an open E string, and it's just played on every quarter note, but with cut-offs on the ands. So we've got 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and barely anything, okay? Michael Anthony plays that through the intro and chorus, so it's not for the whole tune, but again, it works perfectly holding down that pedal tone while Eddie plays those chord changes over the top. Lastly, we don't have to be limited to a single note as a pedal. You can accomplish the same effect with a bass riff that works around one, like the one played in Higher and Higher by Jackie Wilson. So I covered this riff a few weeks back with the Top 10 Soul Riffs video, but if you don't know the riff already, we have pretty much all the way through. So we start on an A and a B, A, B, D, B, D. So 5th fret and 7th fret on the E string, up to the D there at the 5th fret of the A string. Okay, then we're on the D, and then we just stay on the D for that bar. So it's all working around that D there. So we're outlining the root of that D chord, but with the 5th and the 6th in there, which is very pentatonic in nature, which is used in a lot of soul riffs. But that riff continues through the progression of D major, G major, E minor, and back to D. So when we do this, the D major, obviously stays D major, but then when we move to G, because we're outlining that D below it, that actually becomes a second inversion G, so it's G over D. And the E minor there becomes an E minor 7, 3rd inversion with the 7th in the bass. So that riff keeps running around that tonic there on the D, and the chords move around on the top, so we're getting a lot of tension and then eventual release when we get back to the D. So, even though this might seem like a pretty basic kind of lesson discussing bass lines with barely any melodic interest, you can see that from these examples how interest can be generated from the harmony rather than the melody, and a one-note bass line can sometimes be the perfect fit for a song. So please like the video, subscribe, and hit the bell to get notifications of new vids every Friday, and check out the lesson material and drum tracks and all of that other stuff over at the website by clicking the link in the info below. There are over 500 extra free bass lessons there in the lesson map, and you can also subscribe to the free membership to gain access to a huge amount of free practice resources, downloads, and forums. There's a thriving community of over 120,000 members signed up already, so plenty of people to help out with any questions that you might have. So get on over to Talking Bass, and I'll see you next week.